Horror Book Club Day. We're going to be chatting about The Phantom by Barbara Steiner. This was like my first Barbara Steiner, I think. I don't remember reading this or any other Barbara Steiner books. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hiya. I was just saying, I don't remember reading any Barbara Steiner back in the day, although I must have. I'm hoping that you can all hear me. Let me know if you can't. Oh, no worries. Don't worry about not reading it. Hi, Karen. Oh, you can heart the comments. Oh, that's good. That must be new. Right, I'm just going to add Robbie in, hopefully. 1 second. Robbie, so we've got Robbie joining us this evening, who's a fantastic middle grade author. Hi, Robbie.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I made it.
Yay!
Yay.
We're glad you made it.
And our connection seems good and clear. Beautiful.
Excellent. We're winning today.
It's so nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, because we've only ever...
We've been like Insta friends for so long. I know you're super close with Dustin.
That's it. Yeah, no, it's lovely to like finally speak to you.
Yes,
it was
yeah,
like
totally.
That when I had Cameron on for Point Hard Book Club. It was really nice to just be able to chat like face to face and rather than like through text. So it was brilliant.
Oh, for sure. Thanks for having me on. I'm not I haven't done like some good point horror conversation in a long time. So like when you asked me to come on, it was such an exciting, thrilling thing. So thank you.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So everyone who's joined us, this is Robbie Miles. So Robbie is the author of spooky middle grade books. So we've got Don't Call at All, which cover is absolutely amazing. Who did the cover for this, Robbie?
So Cameron Rubik actually did the cover, who's an amazing author himself. He wrote the Kill River series, which is like phenomenal. And you had mentioned Cameron before. So there's two Camerons. There's Cameron Rubik and there's Cameron Chaney. And Cameron Rubik, who did the Kill River series, also did the cover of Autumn Crow, which is Cameron Chaney's first book.
Yes, of course.
And he also did the cover of Autumn Crow High, which is coming out soon enough, which I actually had the privilege of reading like most of. And it's phenomenal. Like I can't wait for everyone to read it.
I can't wait for that either. That's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, be excited for it.
Your new book, which is The Time Watchers, which I managed to grab a copy of. I can't wait to read this. I've only just not long got a copy, but it sounds absolutely fantastic. And it's set on Halloween, I believe, and there's like a sleepover. And I think something happens and they get transported. So I'm really intrigued and I can't wait. I really can't wait to read it.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I had a blast. Don't Call was the first book I wrote, and then again, we have Time Watchers, the second book I wrote. It's bigger. It's more fun. I had so much fun writing that book, and like the second half is like a Halloween explosion. So like if you are into Halloween and you're into the whole like sleepover 90s vibe, definitely check it out.
Yeah, that sounds like a bit of Point Horror Book Club. That does, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Are you writing a sequel to this, or?
I am.
Yeah.
So I'm actually working on an adult book right now. I'm almost done with it. So I have a small publishing house in mind that I think is a great fit. So nothing set in stone yet, but I'm at roughly 35,000 words. I'm shooting for 40,000, and
amazing.
Yeah, so we'll see. But it's very adult. It's totally different than anything I've ever written. But I wanted to kind of go in a different direction, and I had this idea for the book, and I wanted to kind of get my foot in the door out of self-publishing. And not that I don't want to continue to do that. I do, but as a writer, you just want to progress and go in different directions, and so I'm excited for it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah,
it sounds really good. We'll keep all our fingers crossed for you as well.
Yes, thank you. And I totally appreciate the support.
Of course.
And you give me the shout outs, and anytime someone reads my book, it's so awesome. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Now you've always been a big fan of horror, and I think your dad introduced you to like reading and horror maybe at a young age. But I was quite interested to read that you won like a competition, which R L Stine did he pick the winner or something like that?
Yeah, so I'm so impressed that you know this information.
I've just been stalking you,
I was
Robbie,
gonna
on the
say, right?
internet.
I definitely like mentioned it on like every podcast that I'm on, so you definitely heard it there. Yeah, so I actually, like you had said, my dad was a big horror fan. My dad wrote comic books growing up. He still dabbles in writing. He does like short comic strips for a gaming store that he works for. So my love of writing definitely came from him, and horror. I
Mm.
remember, I told the story one other time, but I remember when I was a kid, I've had the same best friends my whole life. And my house was always the house we hung out at. And, always like 5 or 6 of us since, I'm 35. And since we were little kids, we were 5 years old, our parents were best friends. It's a really,
Oh.
really, really nice thing. And so we were like, I think 10 years old. And my dad was like, all right, everyone come in the bedroom. We're going to watch a movie. And he puts on Evil Dead. And again, we're like 10 years old. I don't know if you've seen Evil Dead, but like it is a like very frightening movie. So
Yeah.
that I remember that was like my earliest like memory of watching a horror movie. And then another time, my buddy Mike, growing up, he had a sleepover party, and we all like rented Child's Play. It was
Oh.
about that time. I was like 9 or 10, and everyone fell asleep. We put the movie on, everyone like fell asleep, and I stayed there glued to the TV. I couldn't. It was like 1 in the morning. I'm like 9 years old, and I couldn't look away. So those two things really stand out to me as like where my love of horror came from. And then of course Goosebumps and R L Stine.
Yeah.
I would go to the R L Stine, the Goosebumps book club every week, and like sit in
Yeah.
a circle, and I'd get like my bookmark and all that stuff, and I just loved it. I was a kid in the corner reading Goosebumps like 100%. And
Oh.
so you'd mentioned the R L Stine contest. I'd always wanted to be a writer, and in my elementary school yearbook, I actually wrote, when I grow up, I wanted to be a writer.
Yeah.
And so in 2014, I wrote this short story, and I was starting to get more serious about writing. And but again, I was so new. I just like wanted to put pen to paper. I just wanted to write whatever I could, write as much as I could. And R.L. Stine did this contest on his website and was like, submit a short story, and I'll handpick the winner, and the winner will come to a cocktail party at the Grand Hyatt on 42nd Street.
Ooh.
in New York City. So I ended up submitting this short story, and a few months go by, and I didn't think anything of it. And I'm sitting in my office at school, and I was working on the West Side at the time, and I got an email from Robert Stine, right? And it said, "Congratulations, Robbie. Please be at the Grand Hyatt on 42nd Street on this day at this time. Sincerely, Robert Stine." And my first thought was like,
Wow.
who is Robert Stine? Like I didn't put two and two together. And then on my drive home that day, I was like, wait a minute, I think that was R L Stine, and ended up winning this contest. That he chose this short story that I wrote, and that was like a really validating experience. And so I got to
That's
meet him.
amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. So I have like pictures. I got to meet him. I went to this cocktail party with R L Stine. We kind of had spent the night picking each other's brains. I gave him this gift that I made him, which is like this shrine to Goosebumps,
Oh.
and he appreciated it. He's a very weird guy, and like is absolutely as like on brand as possible. But it was
Oh.
great, man. It was such a validating thing, and that's when I really got serious about writing. And like I wrote a few things, and then Don't Call started in 2018,
Yeah.
and then
That's so amazing, Robbie. That's such an
yeah,
amazing story. Like to
thanks.
oh, that's amazing. I'm so jealous.
No, don't be. I'm jealous you get to like do all this cool stuff and talk point horror and be an expert on that. Like I feel like I missed the boat on point horror because I was a little. I was into the Goosebumps, so the point horror was a little before my time.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, have you read much point horror before, or?
Yeah, so the growing up, like I was into the Goosebumps, and the Fear Street and Goose and Point Horror stuff was a little older for me. And
Mm.
as I get older, I never really like dived into it. I stuck to my Goosebumps. Like even the Fear Street, I have a pretty solid collection now. I think I'm missing like 15 of the original, 54 or whatever it is. But
Yeah,
I never really read too many until recently.
yeah.
I just submitted a short story to Darklit Press. They're doing a Reader Beware anthology. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did see that.
And I
Yeah.
was
Oh,
like, I have to
wow.
submit something. So I submitted a short
Mm.
story to them. So like for research for that, I was like devouring Fear Street and other point horror stuff. But
Yeah.
outside of that, like I didn't really do too much reading of it. It really
Mm.
wasn't my
Yeah.
normal genre wheelhouse. I liked the Goosebumps. So like
Yeah.
you had asked me to come on, and I just done all this reading of all these point horror books. I was like, perfect timing, excellent fit. I'm on board, you know.
Well, I always say, like, I think over here in the UK, point horror in the 90s obviously really took off. So more than like Fear Street. And we had Goosebumps. Goosebumps were around, but I dare say that I think point horror was a little bit more bigger because I think it just hit the market at the right time. So we didn't really get much Fear Street. It was all about point horror. And I think in America, it was like the other way around, like lots of Fear Street and not so much on the point horror side, maybe. But
Yeah,
I
you know
don't
what's
know. I
funny?
could be wrong.
No, you know what's funny? So is point horror like a UK thing? Because I remember I think I was talking to Dustin, and maybe like this during the pandemic, and he had mentioned like the term point horror, and like I didn't even know what he was talking about. I'm like, is that an R L Stine series? I think I asked him. I had never heard of that term before, and
Yeah.
again, I have a huge book collection, but it only started like I had my personal collection, but like really getting down and writing and getting these like vintage paperbacks didn't really start till a couple of years ago. I wasn't a huge collector like growing up, other than the Goosebumps. So like the term point horror I didn't really know what it was until a few years ago, and Dustin had mentioned it. But
that's amazing. And now you know all about it because this month we read The Phantom.
By the way, thank you for I know I sent you my photo, but it took me forever. I'm so bad. I was like, do I have a football? Do I have a jersey? I was like, I work at a school. I was like, maybe I'll ask one of the gym teachers to throw me a ball. I was trying to figure out anything I could do.
No, it was brilliant, and it worked really well with the little graphic that I did, so it was perfect.
Thank you.
But yeah, so we read The Phantom, which I was saying just before you came on that I don't recall reading any Barbara Steiner back in the day. I must have done, but I just don't remember. So this was like, I don't remember anything about this book before I read it, which is unusual because normally I'm like, oh, I remember who the killer is, or, like I remember something about it. But this one was like, didn't remember anything at all.
Do you think you did read it growing up? Or you didn't?
I don't think I did read this one because, as I say, normally there's some things that I recognise from it as I'm reading and I kind of remember, but this one did not ring any bells with me.
Yeah, what was the other title that was in the running?
So The Mummy. So there's The Phantom and The Mummy.
Right. But I was so shocked that obviously there's all kinds of different genres in point horror, whatever, but a sports point horror, I feel like I haven't really seen too much of that.
So yeah, because it was very sport orientated.
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
it?
So I was excited to kind of read something a little different, which is not really in my normal wheelhouse,
Yeah, no, definitely. OG Nostalgia's put, in my experience, point horror was just as big as Fear Street, and it was around earlier, so also mostly American until Unleashed. Yeah, so maybe I was just mad on point horror back in the day and nothing else mattered. That's probably what it was. So there'll be spoilers ahead, probably from the offset in this one for The Phantom. So if you've got any comments, anyone who's watching, thank you for joining us. Just pop them up and I'll try and read them out.
Yeah, also, sorry to interrupt you, Shelley, but I know a few people, I'm really bad at like this live stuff. So I saw a couple of people like as they were coming in say hi. So hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I don't know how to go back up and like see. I saw one of my students actually popped in at one point. Hi, Wally.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. But I don't know how to like go back and see the comments. So if you said hi and I missed it, I'm sorry. Hi, everyone.
We'll say hi to everyone. So what I'll do is a couple of people saying, yeah, Fear Street was not as big over here for me for Emma, she said. I started collecting point horror before I started getting into Fear Street. So yeah, perhaps it was just what was available in our bookshops or our libraries over here. We just grabbed. Someone's put hi, Robbie. Oh my god.
Say it again.
Someone's just put up hi, Robbie. OMG.
I can't see. How do I see the comments?
So if you just press your finger, can you see like a bottom comment?
I can see Speedway Chick. That's the last thing I see.
Oh, I can't see that one. If you just put your finger on it and kind of like push up, but not too far down, otherwise you'll knock yourself out of the chat. It should work. Can you see them now?
Nope. I can see
No.
that the last comment was that Speedway.
Oh, okay.
Right, not a big deal.
That's weird. Yeah, I'll read them out anyway. Don't worry,
Sure.
don't worry. The missus put, yeah, in those days it was whatever you could get your hands on back in the day. That's true, very true. So the Phantom then, I'll do a little summary of the Phantom. I'll try and keep it a bit spoiler-free, the summary. So, welcome to Stony Bay High School, where everyone seems to know everyone. They travel in boats to beach parties. They appear to have poisons and access to scuba equipment and lots of gasoline. And they have a football team called the Stony Bay Bombers, who wear lots of black and gold on their jersey. We join our gang 1 year after superstar quarterback, I think it's Reggie Westlake, died in a tragic accident. And although his number 9 was retired after his death, someone wants to make sure that he is remembered. So Reggie appears through a curtain of mist, all very dramatic, at the first pep rally. But how is it possible when our main character, Amelia, saw him die?
Shelley, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah, of course you can.
So I'm so confused right now because it's just hitting me right now. The back of the book says Reggie Westlake, right?
And it's Westerman, isn't it?
It's Westerman in the book.
Yeah, I thought because I've written Westlake on here because I must have got it from the blurb on the back.
It didn't hit me till just now because I even commented just before on Instagram saying that the ghost of Reggie Westerman is still alive, and I just second guessed myself. I was like, is it not Reggie Westerman? Because I heard you say it, and I looked.
That's why I said, is it Westlake? Because I've written Westlake, which I've got from here. But then definitely inside, yeah, it says Westerman.
I just looked it up. Yeah, I mean, isn't that hilarious to you that those things happen? Like,
that's so strange.
This is Scholastic we're talking about. This isn't like a self-published book. This is Scholastic. They have the wrong name. That's unbelievable. That's so good.
I'm glad you said, because when I was reading that and I'd written Westlake, I thought, this is a Shelley typo. As usual, she's written the wrong name down. But yeah, that's so bad.
Don't sell yourself short, Shelley. This is Scholastic. I'm writing an email to them.
Let's complain, everyone, that this is not correct. We might get reprints then if we complain.
It also looks like you have a different copy. Your back looks red, right?
Yeah, my back's red.
They didn't even fix it on the different versions. It's like different versions.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
It's messed up on both. So good job, Scholastic.
Oh dear. Oh yeah. Ra just put someone needs to email Scholastic. Yes.
I'm on it, man. I'm on it. I'm gonna tell them to give me a book deal since I found this and solved all their literary problems. They owe me a book deal.
Oh, Ghost in the Pages says on their copy it actually says Westerman on the back, so they must have maybe fixed it at a reprint, maybe.
Yep.
Down the line. Oh, interesting.
Right, there goes my book deal. I had it.
OD and Sal just put Point Horror did the same thing with one of the Nightmare Hall books too. Oh, let us know which one and I'll check my copy. And Emma's put hers is right and she's got a shiny copy, so hers is right on there. So they must have noticed and fixed it on the reprints then. Someone must have pointed it out to them. So Reggie appears through this curtain of mist at this pep rally, but obviously he's dead, so how is this happening? And then these strange apparitions keep occurring, and the Stony Bay Bombers, are they jinxed? Or are their rivals playing tricks on them? Or are the teachers in on it? A bit like, I was hoping it would go down a faculty route. And
can I just tell you that I'm really glad you said that because I love the faculty.
I love the faculty.
Me too. I actually just got a poster from Stephen Holiday from the faculty.
Wow.
The new book, the adult book that I'm writing is a small town alien takeover type story.
Yeah.
And I must have watched the faculty 5 times for the past month just to get inspiration. So I love the faculty.
Yeah, I love the faculty. I was really, really hoping that this was going to go down the route of that it was going to be the teachers and all that jazz, but sadly
Totally.
not. No. So maybe someone was out for revenge. So let's jump straight in, because this one was really hard because I didn't think any of the characters were that likable, really. So the girl, so Amelia, Mel, who they shortened it occasionally to, but mainly called her Amelia.
Yeah, I mean,
So
can I just stop you there? I
yeah,
think someone had said it. Maybe Lisa. I don't know if she's on. I couldn't see, but B for book. Lisa,
yeah,
who's
Lisa's here.
amazing. She had mentioned she was going to try and stop in, but she mentioned it also how the nicknames were so bad.
Oh,
And when I first
no.
started reading this book, normally like the point horrors, they have a lot of characters, so it's a little bit confusing at times.
Yeah.
But they throw in all these nicknames too, and I'm just like, I can't keep track of this. I actually wrote like a key for like who was who, because I couldn't, like, and not only that, but like Amelia and Mel doesn't really like, yeah,
No.
it's like when you really think that's an okay nickname for Amelia, but like, it's not like Robbie and Rob, it's like it's like it doesn't sound the same,
Yeah,
So
no, definitely. And like,
it was difficult to keep track of the characters.
yeah, but they should have just, once they told you their nickname, why didn't they just stick to the
I don't
nickname?
know. And it
I
would
was
like go back and forth. It's just like one paragraph, and it's like, who is speaking? Who is this about? And as a writer, like I look for those things, and it's very confusing.
I know one of them was like Jilly Bean for Jilly, and
Billy
like
Bean.
Jilly Bean, and then the other one was Vader for Garth,
Yep,
and
yep,
like,
yep.
and his boat,
That one I liked. That one I liked.
his boat was
His
called
boat was
Garth
Darth
Vader,
Vader.
and
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
that was just the best one. I
For
forgive him
sure.
for
Definitely.
everything, just for the nickname. but I'll just put that the nicknames confused them too. Yeah, Ghost in the Page said I was irritated that they changed what they called people on each page, and that's kind of how it like felt. It did feel like that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And Kirsty's put, I kept thinking, who the hell is Mel? I did that a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very confusing.
Yeah, I see. So now the chat is starting to like come in. So I don't know what I did, but something. I think I like went out of it and joined in. But I see Lisa is here. How's it going, Lisa and everyone? She wrote when they first called her Mel, she had to reread back a few pages because, like I said, Amelia is not shortened to Mel. Like that was
No.
just a terrible nickname, and like it's so hard to keep track of. And besides the fact we have like 5 different characters right from the start, which is not easy to keep track of.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So
But like
what
Barbara Steiner, sorry to interrupt, Barbara, she was a big author, right? Like I feel like that I know
Yeah,
that name.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, I haven't, as I say, I haven't read much. Well, I think this might be the first book of hers I've read, if I'm honest. But yeah, she has written quite a few. But yeah, you'd think that she'd know not to confuse the reader. It's very confusing.
Clearly the publishing house didn't have their excuse my language, their shit together, because they're putting the wrong names on the back of the book there, so we can't rely on them for anything.
So what did you think of Mel as a character? Did you like her or did you hate her?
I think I liked her more as the story went on. I think I like developed a softer spot for her and Garth as the story went on. In the beginning, they seemed kind of like annoying and conceited, but Jilly to me got more annoying as the story went on, and like she was like the victim to me at first, and I kind of empathized with her for losing Travis, or not Travis, I'm sorry, Reggie.
Yeah.
And losing Reggie, and so I empathized with her, but like her to me was like the really annoying character, and as the story went on, I kind of liked Amelia more and more, because she was the the narrator, I believe. She was like the main character, and she was just trying to kind of help her friend, so I did enjoy Amelia more as the book went on.
Do you think she was a good friend to Jilly though? Because she was a bit like, she felt like she was a bit fed up of her. She wasn't very tolerant of Jilly's, like, what Jilly was going through. But I guess it is a year later, maybe. But do you think she was a good friend?
I do.
I'm not too
I think
sure.
she was okay. I think that again, as the book went on, I think she was trying more to help her, but I didn't think she knew how to help her, because Jilly was so kind of irrational. I remember we had that one scene where Jilly just like out of nowhere like turns the page and invites her to Chicago, right? And so we have this like eroding friendship because Jill is always, upset and sad and yada. And then Jill kind of like flips the switch. And so I don't think Amelia really knows how to act, and I enjoyed that about her.
I found Amelia. I just did not gel with her at all. I just thought, what is she doing? Like she wasn't like very. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it with her. There was just something that just irritated me. And
Yeah. I see Emma wrote, or a couple people wrote, and maybe it was Marzipan Pony. I don't think she was as bad a friend as Julie thought she was. She did try to include the new guy in things. Yeah, I agree. They were wrapped up in the football stuff, being the cheerleaders and all that. But I think that she was. When Emma wrote, Amelia was awful. Her friend was suicidal, and she was like, "Shut up." See. You know what's funny is I don't remember those incidents. That was early on, right? Emma?
Yeah, that was very early on.
See, I remember earlier on, I have a whole bunch of highlights in my book. I didn't take notes on this one. I should have. But I remember her being, like, dramatic in the beginning. But I remember her, like, getting better as the story went on and, like, empathizing more with her,
Yeah.
And Julie was the one that I really started to dislike as the story went on.
Cat Ellis has put, Mel was awful. She definitely drove Jilly to do what she did. I think I do kind of agree with that. I think like she didn't help the situation of like trying to really help her friend, and that's the way I saw it. But and also just her relationship with Garth was just like they just constantly argued all the time, and then she went through this stage of like being erratic, saying it's a ghost, and like Garth's like, calm down, it's not a ghost. So she just kept flipping and flopping around, and oh yes, I wasn't 100% sure. But Ghost in the Page Jesus put, I don't think Amelia was a bad friend. I think she was a teenager. You aren't equipped well how to help someone through grief that early, and everyone is different with grief anyway. Yeah, that's true. They are teenagers. Scott's put, Amelia treated Jilly like an inconvenience most of the time. And Nerissa's put they were all intolerable. And
it's interesting because again, like a few of you guys were saying, like in the beginning, she like totally overlooked Jill's loss and didn't treat her with like the respect as her best friend should. But like again, as the story went on, I feel like she was being a good friend, and she just wanted to be. I feel like she like included her with. She wanted to include her new boyfriend, and so I hear you guys, and I do think in the beginning, maybe she wasn't as good a friend, but it switched for me. I think she did kind of redeem herself, and she's trying to include Jill in all her things. And,
Yeah, and it's like, as Emma's just said, it's interesting how everyone's got, split opinion on whether she was a good friend and about the character. So that's quite interesting. And, that's quite... For this book, I've had a lot of people saying, oh, this book was awful, and I've had a few people saying it was good. So I think this is split opinion. Barbara Steiner is causing a point horror riot.
Legendary author, Barbara Steiner.
Marzipan Ponies, but Jill blew off Mel as much as Mel did her, but Jilly was also busy being a dead football player. Yeah, that's true. So do you think that Jilly was a good villain? Like, do you think she was good, or was she just winging it and seeing how it went?
Spoiler alert, we have Jilly.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Our favorite main character who ends up being like the big reveal, and she was like the pull the mask off, it's Jill. I think what was her boyfriend's name?
Gumby. Gumby, sorry, yeah.
What was his
what was his name? It was Shelby.
Shelby, right? Again, like Shelby and Gumby. Like, come on! Like, we have to follow Shelby, and we have to follow. And like, they switch the names back and forth. Not easy to do. But yeah, so I believe there's a scene at the end where like Gumby is, I think, involved a little bit, but like I think the main he had like pranked he had been involved in the first prank, but
Yeah.
you know, through it all, it was Jill who was like the main antagonist. She couldn't deal with the stress of losing Reggie, and she didn't want anyone to be the quarterback. So she's like this evil villain who, you know, was kind of like avenging her dead boyfriend, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think that I think she was quite a good villain. She was more clever than what people gave her credit for.
I do too, and like you know, I like you had said prior, I didn't really figure it out who was behind all this. I should have realized it looking back on it and like thinking about everything that happens. But I do think she was a good villain, and I'm not really one who cares much about motive. Like Halloween's my favorite movie of all time, and like there's no motive there. Like that's what's so scary about it. But I I think that she went crazy, you know, and like losing a boyfriend like in high school like that to such a crazy thing.
Yeah.
It could, you know, like I work in a school, like things happen and it's scary, but mental health is important, and you know the fact that I think she was believable in the sense that like she suffered this big loss, and so she wanted revenge, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think that was too crazy, and I think that was the narrative that made the most sense.
Yeah.
As
No,
far as
definitely.
villain, you know.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you know, Marzipan Ponies put, I think she was a bit underdeveloped as a villain, but the book was only 198 pages. So yeah, she was a little bit. I think they developed Amelia and Garth and their relationship a little bit more. And then Karen's put, I thought the villain was super obvious in this one. I had her pegged from the start. It would have been cooler if the coach was the villain. That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping it was going to be the coach. I did kind of think it was going to be Jilly at the start, and then I thought that's too obvious. No, and then
that's
I
how they
changed my
get
mind.
you. They make it the obvious thing, so it throws your brain off.
Yeah. And then Kat's put, as soon as the book mentioned that Shelby, so that's Gumby, nickname, was a pro at theatre production, I knew he was involved, definitely. But it would have been so cool if it was the coach, and Emma wanted it to be an actual ghost. That would have been so cool.
That would have been cool. I'm on board with absolutely on board with the fictional elements. I would have preferred that, or even the coach. I think would have been cool.
Yeah.
But I will say, when the book was chosen, sports are not a scary thing to me. So like the fact that, this book was kind of creepy, it didn't scare me, but it was definitely creepy. Like the scene when the ghost of Reggie Westerman or Westlake or whatever you want to call his last name, when he kind of rises out of the water. I mean, that's a cool scene. I really enjoyed those few like scenes where
that kind of reminded. Sorry, Robbie.
No,
that reminded me of a film, right? That I can't remember the name of, but I watched it when I was younger, and it was the way it was described, and it was like something under the water, and it comes out, and it's like a machine thing, but it looks like a monster. And if anyone remembers the name of it, let me know, because that's what that scene reminded me of, and I can't remember what it was called, but someone is bound to know. But yeah, that was like, I think that was a really cool scene. Like, but how did they do it? How did they pull that off? Because how did no one like see them? Was it like really far in the distance?
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. Like, it struck me before I started reading, like, how are they going to make this a spooky story about a quarterback? I didn't really. Again, sports are not a scary thing to me. So like, the ghost of this athlete coming back and repeatedly showing himself. I'll say this also. Like, there's a lot of fluff built around like 3 events in the story. Like, there's really not much that happens in this book.
No.
And like, there's like 3 appearances of Reggie where like they kind of build this whole narrative around, and I think she did a good job of like getting spooks in there, like getting the creepiness in there without having like too much of a story to drive it. Like, to me as a writer, I'm thinking like, okay, what are my big scary scenes? And it's like, all right, I'm gonna have Reggie show off as a phantom, which ended up being Jill, like in this like suit, I believe, right?
Yes, I think she had it made specifically to do these pranks.
Right.
I think.
So, like, I was very impressed with how she built this whole narrative and like filled in the line, filled in the the dots, with just those three like kind of big moments.
Yeah, and we even got like a big kind of on the dock by the boat explosion as well in this
Yep.
one, and I thought that
Totally.
was pretty cool. I was like, oh, it's getting going now. It's getting going. Marzipan Ponies, but I wanted Reggie and Jilly to have faked his death, and this is him back after 8 months of rehab.
That would have been cool. I
That
would
would
have
have
liked
been
that a
good. So Scott's put Jilly is a really good swimmer and has access to scuba gear. Oh yeah, I forgot about the scuba gear, even though I mentioned it earlier. And everyone I knew as a team would have run over and ripped off the helmet the first time Reggie appeared. Boom, book over. Yeah, so if you saw that happen at a pep rally, so imagine the mist, set the scene with the mist, the curtain, him moving forward. What would you have done? Would you have run the other way, or would you have gone up and ripped that helmet off? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, again, so like that, as a writer, I'm thinking like, all right, so if I have this idea for the book, like the Phantom, I want these like few scenes to be there where like the Phantom shows up. What a cool way to start off with the pepper out there, like for him to just show up and it's like in the entrance of the gym, right? I think he's just standing there.
I think so.
I thought that was such a cool scene, and like that's what hooked me. That scene when like the Phantom's standing there, however they did it. That scene hooked me. I really was like, all right, I'm into this book. Again, it was an okay book. It was fine. 3 out of 5 stars. But that scene really was cool for me. I really enjoyed that.
Would you have, if you were as a student there though, Robbie, would you have like screamed and ran, or would you have been brave and been like, yeah, it's just a joke?
I think I would have been like, this is awesome. That would have been great. Like, this is cool. Like, how are they doing this? Is that really the ghost of Reggie Westerman Westlake? Or is this like a light show? What's happening? I probably would have stuck it out and been like, this is super cool.
I would have totally screamed and ran the other way.
Oh, yeah? Okay. I was going to ask you.
Karen's put, how did Jilly climb the rope at the end in gloves, but then not be able to hold on to the iron beam in gloves? It's so true. There's a few little plot holes, a few little ones. The teacher surely would have done something. I think I've got behind. Here we go. Shout out to Mel's mum, Karen's put, for being present and serving tea to recover from scary things. What a mum. Yeah, that's true. It was nice to see, like, should I say normal parents in a point horror? Because they're normally absent or going on holiday or don't believe their children.
Oh, yeah.
And then, apart from, I think Amelia did forget her dad's birthday, and we don't know whether she did actually ever make that card that she was going upstairs to make. But yeah. So with regards to the prank, so obviously, I know you like the first prank with the mist and all that, but were there any?
All cool. I definitely thought they were all cool, but
did you have another favourite?
So I thought like the idea, like again, as a writer, I'm thinking like, how do I want like my arc to go? Like how am I? What are going to be my big moments here? And like I just thought the idea of this, when she set out to write this book, she probably said to herself, all right, I want this ghost to keep appearing, and that's going to be my big drive, right? My big like scare point, whatever it is. And so like I just love the idea of them keeping seeing this ghost. Someone had mentioned that they wish it really was a ghost. I wish so too, but that's such a cool, so cool. Such a spooky thing to see this like nightmarish phantom of the old quarterback of the team. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So I think the first one was my favorite. We had the water scene. We had the road, right? The one in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road.
I think the road one was probably my other favorite because, again, I mean, you think about, I'm a big Killer Clowns fan. It's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Lisa's for the Poison Shoulder Pad.
Poison shoulder pads.
Right.
Such a point horror classic.
Now that you say that, I have to change my answer. The Poison Shoulder Pads was devious. What an evil thing to do.
That was. But it's like, it begs the question, where did she get the poison from?
Seriously, like what are we talking about, Barbara Steiner? We have a high school student who's getting this like these poison barbs for sure.
Oh, and then I think, was it like little pins in the shoulder pad? So as soon as it pierced the skin, that's when the poison would go into the body. And it was like very technical. You know, back then in the 90s, there was no like Google. So how did she know all this? Like, how? So she was a clever villain, I think.
Yes,
Clever.
I agree. I mean, like, I also, when reading, I was like, what? I didn't know what was happening. And when they mentioned the poison in the shoulder pad, like, this is dastardly. This is, like, so devious. Like, I mean, what a thing, like, poison in the shoulder pad? Like, that is an all-time move right there, you know? All time. It's so evil.
Oh, there's a lot of people talking about piranhas in the comments, but that I won't spoil it for you, Robbie, but there is a point horror book that has a really good piranha death in it. It's an R L Stine.
Okay. I will. I just have to take a minute to say, my buddy Jesse just showed up. What up, Zach?
Oh, hiya.
Yeah. So I don't know. You can. I don't. It's an R L Stine book. You said.
Yes, it's an R L Stine book.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all fascinated by this piranha death that happened.
Oh, now I'll have to read it.
You'll have to try and read it, yeah. But yeah, Narissa's put hitting up the encyclopedia, yeah, because back then that's what we had, encyclopedia. But yeah, she must have known her poisons and knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, and like, thankfully, like, I feel like that could have gone awry. I feel like that could have gone a lot worse. So thankfully, like, he was not okay, but he didn't like die or anything. That was Garth, right? Garth got the shoulder pads.
No, it should have been Gar.
Oh, should have been Garth, right?
But was it Frank? I think.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but it was because he borrowed Garth's shoulder pads, yeah, so it
Correct.
should have been Garth. Well, I'll just put shoulder pad poisoning is one of the most devious acts in a point horror yet.
I completely agree. I was blown away by that. And when they said that, I'm like, okay, all right, Barbara Steiner, you've got my attention. But I do think, you know, speaking of like top scenes and top, you know, pranks, I do think the scene, you know, I started to say before when he's on the road and they're just driving along at night. I'm a big Killer Clowns fan. I actually just watched it last night with a friend. And, you know, when they set out to make that movie, there's a scene when, I don't know, have you ever seen it, Shelley?
I've seen it years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Memory's a bit hazy on it, but I've seen it years ago.
There's a scene in Killer Clowns when this guy's driving on the road in the middle of the night, and he looks over, and there's just this clown driving. And he doesn't even have a vehicle. He like turns his feet into like these. My buddy Mark just showed up. What up, Mark?
Hi, Mark.
Back. There's this clown who like uses his feet as like headlights, and he's driving along, and he's not even in a car. And he like veers him over to the side of the road. I don't know if you remember that.
I've got a vague memory of it.
So, you know, that scene is absolutely frightening to me. So when the Kyoto brothers set up to make that movie, they said, you know what is the scariest thing that you could possibly see driving alone at night, you know, in the middle of the night? And they all came together and they said, if you looked over and saw a clown driving right next to you.
Oh, my life.
Right. So, like, I love that idea of, like, driving in the middle of the night and just seeing, like, this apparition or, like, seeing something. And so when they were driving, they saw this ghost of Reggie Westerman, Westlake. That to me was very creepy. And, you know, like, it also caught me a little off guard because I was reading and, like, it just happened, you know?
It just happened, yeah.
Right.
And it was really foggy and stuff, and it did just happen. But Jilly took a bit of a risk there because, you know, she could have got run over. And did she do that she did do that one by herself as well, because Gumby, or whatever his name was, didn't know about that until the next day, I think, or something like that.
I have to share with you, speaking of Gumby, you guys can see it in my book. I have this big note right here when we start learning the nicknames. It says Shelby is a boy, because I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And
I wrote exactly the same.
Gumby. I have all kinds of notes throughout my book because it was so hard to keep track of.
I was the same. I was really thrown by the name Shelby and it being a boy. And I still couldn't get my head around it as I was reading as well, which is, yeah, it's just an unusual name, really. But yeah, we got there in the end. I'm sure I just saw Emma put Gilly's motive was rubbish. She did it because people would forget about Reggie. Huh? It's true. Like her motive was the motive wasn't really. You know, they weren't going to forget about Reggie. He was like this champion quarterback who'd help them win and that. And, you know, he had a bit of an alcohol problem, but, you know, people looked over that.
Yeah, right.
Because apparently he went on the field drunk and that's what caused some of the accident.
Yeah, I think that, like, was completely overlooked in the story. I mean, they made a few nods of it not being okay, but, like, that is so wrong. Like, for this high school player to be playing drunk, and they're like, oh, he only had, a couple drinks to help him get loose. Like, that wasn't, like, I get this is, like, what, early 90s, maybe?
Yeah. Is it 94, this one?
Okay, but, like, that is so not okay.
Yeah, 93, 94,
in
yeah.
any capacity.
No, definitely
not. And I
not.
think Jill was the one. That should have been the sign right there. When Jill was like, oh, he only had drinks to get loose or whatever. We should have known something was up with her.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people were saying to Garth, so Amelia's boyfriend Garth, you know, you knew he had this drink. Why didn't you do something? Do you think that he could have avoided Reggie's death? Do you think if he'd just told, like, the coach about the drink or something like that? What do you think?
I do. I do. If he, like, didn't play or whatever, which he shouldn't have played. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, definitely. Raja's put, why was Shelby called Gumby? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think they actually explain that.
Nope.
No.
Oh, I think they actually did. They say that he was, like, tall and lanky like Gumby?
Tall and lanky, yeah. But I don't know why. All I kept imagining was, you know, in, like, Return to Oz, right? This is really random.
No, it hit me.
This is just so. In Return to Oz, you know, they make that, like, moose head flying chair thing. I don't know what that his name is, but I thought he was called Gumby, and that's all I kept imagining the whole way through was, like, this moose. But anyway,
that's funny.
Yeah, so kind of like Garth as a character as well. I think I couldn't gel with him either, and, like, him and Amelia just shouldn't have been together. Gumby is that green thing, right? Oh.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was saying before. He's like this tall, lanky, like, green stick. It's like a claymation character named Gumby. So when they first introduced him, I believe they said he was, like, tall and lanky like Gumby, who was.
Oh.
Let me see if I can pull up a picture here.
My imagination just went in a totally different direction on that one. But yeah, I did feel sorry for Garth, especially with his grill getting blown up by the gasoline as well, and stuff like that. And I think someone, I think it might have been Karen, said, how did they get away with putting all those posters up around?
Can you see this, Shelly?
Oh, yeah.
So that's
okay.
Gumby.
Oh, okay.
And he had, like, a sidekick named Pokey, but this was Gumby. So, like, I think that's why his nickname is Gumby, because he was tall.
Oh, so now we know what he looks like.
Correct.
And now we know why he's got a nickname. Oh dear. What are we like?
So fun.
Scott's put, one thing I took from this is how seriously people take high school football. Oh, you still there? Oh yeah, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, did I dip out?
Yeah, that's all right, you're back. Emma's put yeah that. One thing I took from this is how seriously people took high school football. Yeah, there's a lot of football talk in this.
Yeah, for sure.
But
it's real. I mean, high school's pretty big where I was from too. You know, not in the sense like it was huge, but you know, winning was definitely important.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I found in the book that we got a lot of explanation at the end about all the pranks.
Can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah, go on.
OG Nostalgia wrote Shelby was described as short. Okay, I must have been wrong about that. I think maybe in my mind I put Gumby together.
So we're very confused.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, wasn't the moose in Return to Oz called Mr.
There you go.
Gumby? Yeah, this is why. Yeah, I don't know why it just came to me, and I don't know. But yeah, so he was short. So we don't really know why he got that nickname then. But there was a couple of unexplained things, I think, in this book as well. So do you remember the scene when Amelia goes into the school? I think it's like after one of the games, and she goes into the school. She has a bit of a freak out, and like she slips on some like smelly, fishy, weedy water in front of the trophy case. So we never really get an explanation as to how that happened. We're just presuming that it was from after the beach party, because I think Jilly used to stand in front of the trophy case quite a lot. However, the day when she slips on it is like the day after. So you're telling me that water's been there all day and no one's noticed?
In Barbara Steiner's mind, it is.
Kat's put, I think Gumby was short for Gunderson.
Yeah, so a couple people commented on that. Interesting.
Yeah. And then there was also, and I think Garth's excuse for that water was that a dog must have got in the school. You know.
Good one,
Good
Garth.
old Garth.
Good old Garth. Good old Vader.
Oh, God, a dog got in the school. But yeah, so they didn't notice that all day for 24 hours until at that point. And then obviously there was like some phone calls that happened, creepy phone calls with the water. Do we think that Jilly did the phone calls, or do we think it was Gumby? So Shelby/Gumby. Who do you think did those? Because he did phone up after.
It's a good question. I mean, I guess I think that Gumby does say like he was involved, right? But like he tried to stop, but like Jill like made him feel bad about it or something. I don't know. I remember he was like remorseful for it. He had said like I didn't want to be doing it, but she like I don't remember what his excuse was. But I definitely see like a Stu Macher, you know, what's his name? Billy Loomis kind
Billy
of
Loomis, yeah, definitely.
Extreme, like where one of them is like the brains behind the operation, and the other one, you know, I'm picturing Stu on the phone with his mom, like they're gonna be so mad at me.
They're gonna be so mad at me.
Right. So I think it could have been Gumby. I'm not sure, but I mean, like it was definitely Jill's motive. You know, Jill was definitely the muscle behind it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we think Jill did the phone calls.
Probably. Yeah. Although maybe it was Gumby because Jill always had to be in the suit, so maybe. Like while she was doing that, Gumby was kind of doing like the legwork, you know?
Yeah, possible. Karen's put Jilly just carts swampy water around in a jar on the sly. Yeah. And Odine Nostal just put and pissed seawater to run about the dog. Yeah, you know, could have done. We never know. With weeds in, don't forget, weeds. Mel needed to have the old 1471 to backtrack the number. So in the UK, I think it's different. It used to be star 69, I think, in America.
Yep,
I'm not sure.
Now
we had 1471, yeah, which is what we had to dial to see who phoned us if we missed a call. Yeah, she did need that. Yeah.
Yeah, inside the cover, she just mentioned something also. Gumby seemed to idolize Jilly. I think he would have done anything for her. Yeah, that's a good point. I think Gumby kind of being like the theater star and like Jilly was like this right? I believe theater. And Jill was like this all-star cheerleader, dated the starting quarterback. I think Gumby was a little out of his league a little bit, maybe a little out of his element. Not that kind of trope really holds up, but like I think back then that was a big thing, right? Like star cheerleader, star quarterback, like that's kind of how it goes. And, so for her to be dating it, they made not of it. Like that Jilly doesn't normally date like theater. It was like kind of odd for her to be dating him. And it's not clicking until actually just now for Inside the Covers comment, but like maybe she was dating that kind of a guy because she knew she could manipulate him, you know?
That's what I think. I think she was just manipulating him and just trying to use him for his theatrical knowledge and skills and things like that.
That's true also. Yeah, the theatrical knowledge, yeah.
Definitely. Emma's put, Mel said that Jilly could have anyone she wanted, but why Shelby? So now we know. Yeah, I think definitely there was some manipulation going on there, 100%. Did you, I know we've talked about some favourite scenes, but did you have any other favourite scene that we haven't mentioned or that you can remember, or another character? I know we haven't spoke about Travis, who was the reporter and Reggie's brother.
Amongst all the memorable scenes that we got in the Phantom, I think just anytime with the Phantom, I thought that was very cool. It was a nice touch. I really liked. I didn't really know how this book was going to develop. You know, when it got picked for our club, I was kind of like ambivalent a little bit. I kind of wanted the Mummy because it seemed more horror to me. I didn't really know how like this football book was gonna be creepy to me. So like this idea of the Phantom like keep coming out. It was cool to me. I really liked it. So
no, definitely.
I'm gonna say like any scene with the actual
any scene with the Phantom. Yeah. So one of my favourite scenes, because it just made me laugh, and I had to go back and just read it just because it made me laugh. Was so we're setting the scene. So we're at the coach's party that he's having at his luxurious house, which he couldn't possibly afford on a teacher's wage, apparently. So they've just escaped this grill blowing up in their face, and someone's put all these threatening signs up. But they decide, forget all that, let's play a bit of tag. So Amelia's tag, you're it, and then they have to go and hide. So they're all playing in this wood. Amelia starts to freak out a little bit, bumps into Gar. So then they decide to go home. But what about all the people that are still hiding because they think they're still playing tag?
Someone had mentioned that earlier in the chat. They're just forever playing the game now. They're just stuck there.
But on the next page, I think it was like next chapter, so it's chapter break, they've gone home, flip the chapter, half of the school have flu. And it's like, yeah, that's because they've been standing outside, Amelia, waiting for you to come and play tag.
So funny. That's a great point. I do have another note here. I'm looking back to like my highlights and my notes, and there's one other thing that I really liked also. I'm trying to reread like the small section around what I've highlighted, but there was a scene when I guess it's Amelia.
Yeah.
And she needs to. It says, but once she had the idea in her head that Garth was in danger, she couldn't get it out. This is like around the time when she's like starting to think that like whoever the quarterback was in danger, and she gets this idea that Garth was next. So she needed to get in touch with him, and she couldn't. So she takes a notebook from the car door pocket, the one her mother used to keep gas and oil records, and she ripped out a note from the notebook, and she writes, "I need to talk to you, Garth. Call me the minute you get home, Amelia." She added a tiny bit of love in between home and Amelia, and she left it on the windshield of Garth's car. Like I wrote a note saying OG texting, because that to me just cracked me up. Like think about what she had to do just to like say this tiny little thing to Garth. Like to leave a note on his windshield, like that to me is hilarious.
Oh, it is. The times before mobile phones, how easy we have it now. We don't have to leave a note on people's windscreen. Unless we like bump into their car, of course.
Right, in which case I would absolutely leave notes on people's cars.
100%.
And I saw it like a big prank like back when I was in high school was to like leave Post-its on people's car. You ever hear about that? Like you would litter their entire car with Post-its all around.
Oh no. I know I got pranked once. There was someone at my work who was leaving, and I'm actually got a phobia of cotton wool. And,
oh really?
Yeah, like I can't even, like my teeth. Just saying it, I can't.
Okay, all right.
And so my friend at work knew this, so I must have been in a meeting or something, and they stole my car key, went over the shop, filled my car full of cotton wool, and I mean like.
Were you dying?
But the worst thing was I didn't even notice. So I was walking to the car, and what they'd done, they'd put it under the door handle on my car as well. So as I opened the door, evil. I was like,
"It's more
what's
evil than
that?"
That is terrible.
And literally, they'd wrapped it all around my steering wheel.
Did you check your shoulder pads?
No, I should have.
You should have checked your shoulder pads.
So yeah, they wrapped it all around my steering wheel everywhere, man. And yeah, so You know, I should have been pranking them. It was their last day and they decided to prank me. But yeah, but no, it was horrific. Hate cotton wool. So one person we haven't really talked about was Travis. So we'll just quickly give him a mention because
Yep.
I think he was meant to be like the the good-looking, mysterious one, possibly the red herring, and he had like a really cool T-Bird car that he'd done up to like mint condition and stuff like that. So did you ever suspect that it was Travis? Because I know you said you didn't suspect it was Gilly. So did you ever suspect it was Travis?
I think he was the one that I kind of gravitated towards as just because I think that's what Barbara Steiner wanted, and I'm total sap. Like I fell right into her trap. I think Travis was who she had like kind of pinned it all on, and I definitely thought it was him.
Yeah.
He had that mysterious kind of feel to him, and he was the brother. I mean, there's your motive, like he wanted to get revenge for his brother, and he ended up being just a good guy, like he just wanted to like help out and yada yada.
No, definitely. It's interesting to hear. Emma's just put, I thought it was Garth, so that's interesting. Let us know if you didn't guess who it was at the beginning, or as you read, who did you think it was? Because I think she could have done a few more red herrings just to like put us off the scent a little bit.
Definitely, yeah.
But I really felt sorry for Travis. So I thought like, he was kind of blaming Garth a little bit for letting Reggie go on the field drunk. And I did feel sorry for him. But my favourite Travis moment was when he jumped in that water when Amelia got blown and then pushed into the water. Could just imagine it in slow motion, him ripping his top off and
That's hilarious.
Yeah. This is what my mind does, Robbie. It's, goes in weird places.
You should write, Shelley. You should write your own point horror series.
Oh, can you imagine? I'll give them all nicknames. And like,
yeah, right?
Yeah, definitely give them nicknames.
Point Shelley.
Point Shelley.
Got a nice ring to
it. Inside the covers, but I thought it was Gumby. So it's quite interesting. Karen's put, did Gilly sneakily set up the death of Reggie? Oh, she could have been having a sly affair with the footballer who took him out. I can't remember his name, as he was proper proud of doing it. Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, so maybe was Gilly that sneaky that she actually killed Reggie? All the way back there. Emma's put, yeah, Shelley should write her own point horror.
Definitely.
Scott's put, I did start to think it was Garth towards the end. Yeah. Yes, Shelley, I imagine him doing a Baywatch run and dive into the water. Yes, Lisa. I'm glad it's not just my perverted mind that just, can you imagine like slow-mo on a film? Definitely. So I'm glad it's not just me. Hazel's put, I had an inkling about halfway through that it was Gilly because she was a bit too OTT or obsessed about Reggie's death. Yeah, I think for me it was a little bit obvious, but yeah, it was still a good read. It was okay. So overall then, Robbie, did you liked this book?
I did. I enjoyed it. Again, like as far as stars are concerned, I think I'd give it like a 3.5.
I think 3. Yeah, 3.
It's not like I loved it. I've been reading a lot of Grindhouse lately because I'm writing this, adult book for, that's actually the publishing house I have in mind. So I've been reading a lot of Grindhouse. So like, it was nice to kind of get a break from that. And like, point horror, you got to take it for what it is. In some of these books, I can't take it too seriously. And I had a good time with it. I really did. It's easy. My only wish was that, and again, I didn't expect much from it. I think that's what makes it easier. I didn't expect much from it. So the letdown's a lot easier. But I think the only real issue I had is like the nicknames. That was like the biggest thing. Like it took me a while to really like get used to the characters, and like I'm not big on a lot of characters. I never have a lot of characters in my books. I like to focus on a few of them. Like I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? Famous author. Tale of Two Cities. Great Expectations.
Oh yeah, Charles
Charles
Dickens.
Dickens. He always has
Yeah.
these elaborate like stories with all these millions of characters. I'm like, I can't read it because there's just too much
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Game of
Definitely.
Thrones. Like, there's just too much, too many characters. Like, I'm not a big fan of the big narratives. So,
Yeah.
it was a little confusing at first, but I enjoyed it.
No, definitely. No, I think I enjoyed it. I would read another Barbara Steiner, definitely. So maybe when we do the Mummy, you'll have to come back on,
I would
and
love
maybe
to.
we can
Again, like
do
I said,
the
that was my
Mummy.
pick. I was hoping for the Mummy, so next time I am definitely in.
Yes, yes. Karen's put as a final couple of things. Karen's put Jilly is also having an affair with the young ambulance man who said she was dead now. They need a sequel full of murder. Oh, yeah. So maybe like she's really not dead. Is that what we're saying? Yeah. A few people are saying maybe she's not dead.
Oh,
Mm,
interesting. The Return
yeah.
sequel.
Do you think they could have saved her at the end? Like, was there any way of saving Jilly, do you think? Or was
Well,
she
do
just
they
really just.
mention that they do mention she dies, right?
Yeah, it's like literally like the last page to one, I think. And she's like lying on the floor. She's obviously can't move because she's had that fall. And then I think she just dies.
Right.
And
It's just
like,
implied.
yeah, it just implies, but maybe she was faking her own death.
No, it says the young man's eyes were sad. I'm sorry, miss. She won't need you now. He pulled the sheet up over Jilly's face.
Dum dum
Right.
dum.
Amelia stepped back as if someone had hit her. Biting her lip, she pressed her hand to her mouth to keep from screaming out. Jilly didn't need anyone now. Not her, not Shelby, who stood alone, staring at the men as they lifted the stretcher into the ambulance. Amelia turned to Garth, and he held her close again. She would get through this night, and then she'd have to face each day ahead, missing Jilly and wishing she could have helped her. That's the last paragraph.
Yeah, so she sounds pretty brown bread to me.
Yeah, I think it's over for her. She had a good run though. Those
Yeah.
shoulder pads. She gave it her all, man.
She tried her very best.
Yes.
Kirsty's put, I did like this one, but it seemed more serious than other point horrors somehow. The ending was pretty heavy. Narissa's put Spring Break by Barbara Steiner is good, so maybe we'll have to do that one as well. Yeah.
Definitely we'll check it out.
That would be so fun. Reference the Mummy. So yeah, maybe we could definitely do another one for sure.
Yeah, it's a great time. Thank you so much for having me.
No, you're welcome. Oh, Karen's put they could have just dragged a crash mat below her. It was a fully kitted gym. That's so true. There's so many different scenarios that they could have done. But anyway, no, thank you, Robbie, and for joining us, and for everyone who's joined in and put brilliant comments up. I was like, as I say, I've had a few people say, oh, this book didn't get on with it, and some people said this book was really good. So I was interested to see what people think. But do check Robbie's books out as well. You've got Don't Call at All and The Time Watchers, which I'll be reading soon. So there'll be something up on my other Instagram about that soon. Because I can't wait, and the cover is just phenomenal, amazing. So do check those out. And come back again, Robbie.
Yeah,
Us.
Again, thank you so much for having me. When you asked me to come on, and, I love doing this stuff. I love hanging out and talking books. I know we had. I feel like we've been Insta friends for so long. We never really had a chance to really kind of talk and
it's been really good. I'm so glad we did it. Oh,
yeah, thank you for the shout outs, and thank you everyone for coming on and hanging out with us. Someone just wrote, I just got Don't Call at All and Planet Story. Thank you guys. Anytime anybody reads any of my books or even shouts out anything, it's such a it still amazes me that I'm living a dream. So I'm living my dream of putting books out there, and it's only the beginning. I have so much happening. So thank you all so much.
No, we can't wait, Robbie. We can't wait, and we're always happy to support you. So as soon as we see anything, we'll share it.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. So much fun.
Thanks, guys. See you next month. Bye. Thanks, Robbie. Bye.